And Paul, beautiful. Paul, you were the fastest of the non-Toyota runners this morning in practice. Do you feel that these boys have an advantage over you, or is it the fact that you and your team have switched to the Lola a little bit later in the season than you'd like to?
Well, I think it's just a combination of things. You know, obviously, me and Dario have switched to a Lola, and Michael, so we're still learning that car. Fernandez switched to a Lola over this last winter. And I really don't feel that Laguna was representative of how competitive we were, because, you know, you had me and Dario and Fernandez basically out in the first corner. So that kind of put their best runners kind of out of the situation. So I think, you know, Portland, you know, qualifying's key, and I think we're running good so far. Hopefully we can qualify up front and maybe win the race.
Talk about the traction control issues. I know Toyota seem to be working very hard with that. They believe that Cristiano D'Amato really has a great feel for making that system work for him. How are you guys doing with the Honda system?
Well, we're always working on it, and it's something that you really have to fine-tune the car around. I mean, it's another driver aid, just like changing the springs or changing the front wing. You know, you're really adjusting the traction control a lot to suit each different corner on the track. So, you know, you got to put all the combination of everything together. Traction control, your balance, your aero balance, everything's got to be right to get around the track quick.
All right, Paul, good luck this afternoon. He's certainly going to have his work cut out. Top 4 spots this morning were taken by Toyota runners, the Newman Haas boys, then the Target team. Bob?
All right, thanks very much, Calvin. Earlier this weekend, Paul Tracy was honored by the local Boy Scout Council as their Motor Sportsman of the Year. Stay with us all weekend here in Portland. Tonight, Kart Friday Night comes your way at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Derek Daly hosting. Tomorrow, we'll have second round qualifying live here on Speed Channel at 4:30 Eastern. On Saturday, the Toyota Atlantic Series will run. You'll see it at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Speed Channel. And Sunday's G.I. Joe's 200 will appear live on CBS Sports at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Today's live Speed Channel coverage is brought to you by Prudential Financial, growing and protecting your wealth. By FedEx, proud sponsor of the Kart FedEx Championship Series. And by Mazda, there's a soul of a sports car in everything we make. Welcome back. Beautiful day here at Portland International Raceway in the shadow of Mount Hood. Been on land that was once the home to a town called Vanport, built during World War II to house employees of the local shipbuilding factory. But now it is a great racetrack, and the Champ Cars are here for the 19th year. Here's a look at the morning practice times, topped by the Newman Haas teammates Christian Fittipaldi and Cristiano D'Amato, Bruno Junqueira and Kenny Breck, 3rd and 4th. And then Paul Tracy and Tora Takagi having another good practice session. See if he can turn it into a quality spot on the starting grid. Townsend Bell also running well, coming off his first finish of the year a week ago at Laguna Seca. Tony Kanaan slotted into the number 11 spot in the morning practice, followed by Michel Jourdain Jr., very consistent in both his primary and his backup race cars. Then Jimmy Vasser with his pair of Ford-powered Lolas. Scott Dixon with the Target Ganassi squad. Patrick Carpentier having some problems this weekend. Michael Andretti once again mired toward the back of the field in his Honda-powered Lola. As the crowd begins to build on this Friday afternoon, the green flag is now out. No cars rushing out into the pit lane, though. Remember, they are limited to 15 laps. So while we have a moment, let's talk about the big news weekend that's developing in Portland. Derek Daly is standing by with the president and CEO of CART, Chris Pook.
Chris, thank you for joining us here. You know, every time we go to look for you, you're surrounded by people, but you seem to be accessible by everybody and happy to almost talk to everybody. That's about your weekend, isn't it?
Well, I mean, why not? I mean, you know, I'm the CEO of the company, and these are our clients, and even though they're promoters, clients as well, and, you know, if I have the time to be there and talk to them and answer their questions, that's what I want to do.
Okay, Chris, let's talk about one of the stories that has filled the web pages recently. It concerned the Ford Cosworth engine, potentially being, if you like, a spec engine for the kart series. Is there truth in that, Chris? Can that happen? Will that happen?
Well, obviously, we have a high level of interest in the Ford Cosworth engine. Our board of directors have instructed management to pursue that high level of interest. We will have a meeting with the team owners tomorrow afternoon, and we will tell you the result of that meeting on probably Sunday morning, though knowing your abilities, Derek, to ferret your way around the paddock here, you'll probably know about it right after the meeting. But that's our game plan, and we are going to stabilize this series. And as I've said last week to the media, we are managing this company. There are others who have managed or tried to manage this company over the last year and a half or 2 years for their own private agendas. But this company is firmly back in control of management, who reports to its board of directors, and its board of directors have made it very clear to management that you get hold of this company and you get it back on track and do your job and build this series to where it belongs.
Chris, does that mean that the name of MG that we heard of just 2 or 3 weeks ago may not be involved in the series?
Well, we haven't actually finalized that side of the relationship yet. Obviously, we're talking to MG. We want to continue to talk to MG. We want MG in our series. As also, do we want as many manufacturers as we can possibly get into our series? But, Derek, when I came on board here, I made some fairly major changes in the structure of the company. First with the management, then we stabilized the rules. We then got the racing back in the racing. We got the qualifying back in the qualifying, although they're playing their chess game right now, which is always a game of fear, it seems to be, between the drivers. But we've got all that back in order. Now we've got to make one other key move to stabilize the series, and we've then got to tell everybody what our plans are after we've stabilized it, where we're going, so everybody understands the roadmap which we're following, and they can buy into that roadmap and participate in that roadmap and get this company back on track. The racing is still incredible. We're here at Portland today on a Friday afternoon. We've got a great crowd for a Friday here. The customers come out, they love it, but just the company has been unfortunately poorly managed, and when you poorly manage a company, you pay the penalties.
Chris, we're just going to slip away for a quick commercial break, but I would like to ask you just to stick around just for one more segment, because a lot of people want to know some answers. We're going to try and poke a little bit deeper, if you don't mind, but just stick around because we're going to just slip away for a commercial break. Bob?
Thanks very much, Derek. I've heard you referred to as lots of things over the years, but never a ferret. That's a first for me. We'll take a quick break. No one on the racetrack right now. We'll find out why when we return on a beautiful day in the Rose City of Portland, Oregon. Stand by for more from the G.I. Joe's 200 weekend. Welcome back to Portland International Raceway. Still no cars on track in this first of 2 qualifying sessions for the G.I. Joe's 200. Of course, one of the world's great motorsports events, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, is live on Speed Channel this weekend. Check it out. The start tomorrow morning, beginning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Then picking it up at dawn on Sunday. Actually, dawn on Sunday in France, make it 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time in the States. And the finish coming your way beginning Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. Let's give you a look at qualifying for this year's 24 Hours. A sweep of the top 3 spots by Audi Sport. Of course, they are the 2-time defending champions. Ronaldo Capello is on pole for the 2nd straight year. In the LMP 675 class, MG is on top. Team Bentley and GTP, in fact, the only entry in that class. GTS, it's the ProDrive squad with their Ferrari. And in GT, from the United States, Kevin Buckler's Racers Group Porsche. As you can see, a good crowd on hand for the first round of qualifying. Whenever it begins, let's get down to Scott Pruitt in the pit lane.
I'm with Dario Franchitti, and we've been talking about the challenges of changing cars from Reynard to Lola. Now, you guys have spent all this time over the winter doing all the testing, learning all the nuances. How difficult as a team has been making that change?
Yeah, it's been difficult. I mean, not only have we tested all winter, we've run this car, I've run it since 97, the team have run it since 95, so we have a lot of history with it. To come in, to learn a new car, the way it works, what it likes, how do you change the car? If the car is understeering, what changes do you make if the car is oversteering? And it's a completely different way to get the same result. You have to do a lot of things different with the Lola. It's fine if we arrive at a track dead on with the setup, then we can adjust a bit. But when we have to find a setup like we did in Laguna last week, we really got lost.
Now, for the viewers at home, we're talking a little bit about qualifying and how that's changed. Nobody on track. We're green. Nobody on track. What is the thoughts and why help everybody understand why you do this?
Well, the drivers are basically lazy and they don't want to work.
That's true.
No, in truth, we've got 2 sets of Bridgestones for this session. Really, the tires are in their qualifying state for probably only 3 or 4, maybe 3 laps each set. So you've got to wait till the conditions are at their best, which is going to be at the end of the session when there is more rubber on the track. So the track is going to be quicker. And with it being as close as it is right now, you've got to take every advantage you can. And really, there's a chance you might get traffic at the end, but you've got to get the track at its maximum when you get the maximum amount of grip so you can go as quick as possible.
Best of luck, Dario. Calvin?
We see a lot of the drivers waiting to go out, Scott, but one man who's here as the defending champion and would love to be in his car today is Max Pappas, of course, with Sigma Autosport. What is the situation, Max? The car hasn't turned a wheel today.
You know, it's a situation that is totally out of my control. You know, I came here to defend my championship. My win last year, and defend the 6th place I've got in the championship. But I need the car to do that, and the situation is completely out of my control at the moment.
We know that the team has been under some financial restraint this year, and it's been kind of a week-by-week basis, but it must be tough for you to come out 6 in points and not be able to defend your race here at Portland.
What I can tell you is that what's happening now is not the commitment I've got at the beginning of the season from people, and I'm disappointed about all the fans that came over and see me to defend the championship, to defend my win from last year, and I will be back. I'm a fighter.
Okay, mate, we look forward to seeing you.
I'm a fighter. Don't worry.
Thank you. It's a shame to see Max Pappas not in his racing overalls, because he has been really one of the most entertaining stories as we've gone through this Champ Car season. Chris Pook is still with us here. Chris, whenever you have a hurricane, you look for your foundation to be something solid to stand on. If I was to ask you for 3 steps, what do you think is your first step for your foundation, and what are your steps after that to build this company where you think it can be?
Well, first, obviously, solid management team. That's the first thing. We accomplished that, I think, earlier this year. Right behind that, rules so we can produce a show for the promoters. That follows good, solid markets we're in. The promoters we've got, solidify those guys. We're in good shape there, solid there, behind us, 100%. Understand the game plan, totally on board. Next item is give the team something to really bite into, and that comes tomorrow afternoon, and you'll hear about it Sunday, although, as I said, you'll probably get it first. But then you got the teams on board. Now you got the show. Now you can hit the road.
Chris, if I can just delve a tiny bit deeper. I know you have a board. I know you have to serve at their pleasure, but do you have control of this company? Can you make decisions and make things happen?
Oh, yeah, Derek. I mean, the board has given me very clear mandates and very clear directions on what to do. The Delaware board runs this company. They're not micromanaging this company. They just said, look, what are your plans to get this company going forward again, and tell us them, and we'll critique them. And they've done that, and they've given me input, and they've given me authority and mandate to move forward. And that we are doing, and it's quite a simple process. This company is no different than any other company. It's management's responsibility to provide the game plan, and the board approve or disapprove the game plan. In this case, they've approved the game plan, and it's management's job to execute, and that's what we're going to do, just like any other business.
And your style has been to get it done, right?
Yes, that's the end of the day. You got to execute and get it done. Otherwise, you're useless as a CEO.
And as you have told me many times, your teacher was one Bernie Ecclestone, who built a behemoth of success with Formula One. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for taking the time to join us. And we will be right back with more with cars on the racetrack for qualifying here on day 1 from the Portland International Raceway. Don't go away.
Welcome back to Portland International Raceway and qualifying for round 6 of the Kart FedEx Championship Series, the G.I. Joe's 200. Big crowd down there in the paddock and in the pit lane, but we do have a car on track right now. Shinji Nakano, teammate to Adrian Fernandez at Fernandez Racing, is on track in his Honda-powered Lola. And he is coming around to begin his first hot lap, the second of his 15 allowable laps on track in this first qualifying session. Let's get to the pit lane and Scott Pruitt.
Michael Andretti, we've been talking about how difficult it is to make that changeover from a Reynard to a Lola. You had a struggle last week, and it seems like some of that struggle still continues.
Well, we're still looking for it. We didn't find the right combination yet for myself, but the other 2 guys are getting a little closer, so hopefully we'll find the right combination for me.
Now, a little bit of fun. This week, you were off shooting a commercial, having a little fun in San Francisco?
Yeah, we had some fun. I think it's going to be a really good commercial. I can't wait till we announce it and show it, but we had a lot of fun this week in San Francisco.
Well, best of luck in qualifying. Now down to Calvin. Calvin?
Well, a man who had a great run last weekend at Laguna Seca was rookie Townsend Bell. Townsend, I know you needed a result, and you certainly put in an impressive run there, 7th place. What do you feel about it now coming into the next round?
Well, thanks. You know, it was one of those deals where we just had to get to the end, and we had a pretty quick race car. We had the second fastest race lap, and the Visteon guys did a great job all weekend. We were quite off the map there in Milwaukee, so it was nice to bounce back with a strong run. And I was having a good time there at the end and trying to gain another place or two. But most important thing was just to finish, get that monkey off our back, and just get on down the road. We're here at Portland. The car's strong off the truck, so I'm excited to see where we end up.
You've had 3 races here in your previous series that you've run in. I know you've been on the pole 3 times, so you've certainly shown speed here. But that first turn, you've been privy to some special attention down there. What happened down there?
Yeah, my first race in Barbara Dodge, I was on pole there. I got hit by the 19th qualifier going into turn 1. The second race I was on pole, I got passed in the first corner. So then last year I was on pole, I went really deep in the first corner of the rain and went off. So one of these years we'll get it right. Hopefully it's this weekend.
All right, they're going to look for that pole position this afternoon, guys.
All right, thanks very much, Calvin. There you see Shinji Nakano on track. He has set the early mark in this qualifying session at 1 minute 1.329 seconds, which is the first car on track, and you can expect those times to fall rapidly. With me, of course, is Tommy TK Kendall. Tommy, what are your thoughts after watching that first practice session this morning?
Well, this is the time in the season where we're kind of in the heart of the schedule, and the cream starts to rise to the top. You had 2 Newman Haas guys, you had 2 Target Chip Ganassi guys, and Paul Tracy. 5 big primetime players, all kind of emerging at this time. It was only one session, but early in the season you see lots of little anomalies, but eventually the strength of those teams and the depth of those teams starts to come out. So I look for more of that. This is an interesting circuit. This is probably the truest test of a car. I shouldn't say the truest test of a car. They're all tests of a car. But long corners, balance is very, very critical. If in a street course, you just have to stop, rotate it, and then shoot off the corner. But here, the balance of the car has to be very, very good.
Nakano has improved that last lap, 1 minute 0.869. So right at 1 minute flat is the Japanese driver from Fernandez Racing. And here comes his boss. Adrian Fernandez crosses the line. Behind him, fellow Mexican Mario Dominguez. Now, earlier we heard from Paul Tracy talking about how the Honda teams would like to gain back some of the ground that Toyota put on them that last weekend when they swept the top 3 in qualifying and the top 4 in the race standings. And that is not television, folks. These guys are very serious. Honda, in its final season in kart, definitely wants to get back on the scoreboard. We see the Ford-powered Dominguez. Let's get down into the pit lane and Scott Pruitt.
Alex Tagliani and a players team, one of those teams seems like you've had a lot of bad luck this year, but there has been some high spots. Looks like when you guys get together, you're very fast.
Yeah, we had a couple of bad lucks in a row, actually, Milwaukee and Laguna. So, but it's still early in the season. We had a much better start than we had last year, so we just need to keep working and improving the car every race, and it's going to come to us.
Now, as far as your plan, exactly when to go out there, the temperature's coming up, track temp's coming up. When are you going to go?
Well, I think this morning the car had like a little bit of push, but now with the temperature, I think the car will still have push, but also a lack of overall grip. So we did some change into the car. We hope that we went into the good direction, but we just want to put a good lap in the bank right away.
Well, best of luck, Tag. Bob?
All right, thanks, Tommy. You were nodding sagely.
Well, in addition to commenting on everything that happens on the track, I like to comment on all the meaningless things. So you see the Paul Tracy sleeveless look has migrated over to Alex Tagliani. He's got that, I thought he was one of the Backstreet Boys first time I saw him. He's got that really sleek looking beard line going, and now he's got the sleeveless thing. It rounds out the look.
I should have known. Jimmy Vasser is now ready to head on track. There is Adrian Fernandez, who put in a hot lap but was unable to bump his teammate Nakano from the top spot. We'll be right back live to Portland.
We're back in the sunshine at live qualifying at Portland International Raceway, and here's a man with a message, not sponsored. Now, Oriol Servia, of course, is frustrated that in fact he is not in a car. Is this, for any particular reason? Are you trying to send us a message here?
Well, actually, I'm a race car driver. I think a pretty good one, and I'm not driving this weekend. Just if anyone had any doubts, that's the reason. It's not because I don't want to. So, I'm here, I'm ready, and it's just a joke. Tony Kanaan actually gave it to me yesterday, and I have I'll actually a better one for tomorrow. You'll see.
Oh, okay. So tomorrow we'll come back and see Oriol and see what message he has on his chest tomorrow, and see does he get any closer to a ride, fellas.
Tony Kanaan gave him that. This is a tough crowd.
He got that at the Nike Town at the Nike store. They came up with that, not sponsored, and obviously it screamed Oriol's name.
Paul Tracy now on track, warming up for his first hot lap. Shinji Nakano has already put in 7 laps, but he has been bumped from the top spot by his car owner, Adrian Fernandez. Once again, we're on the road courses this weekend. That means 2 rounds of qualifying. And the driver's best lap from either round will determine his final grid position. They each get just 15 laps. The driver can dip into his allotment of 7 sets of Bridgestone Potenza tires for the weekend whenever he wants to. The cars are all on track in one group for a guaranteed 45 green flag minutes. 2 front row spots will be locked in. 1 today, along with the championship bonus point, and 1 in tomorrow's second round. The weather looks good all weekend. But Tony, I'm guessing it'll just be a matter of how much this track continues to rubber in.
Yeah, at some point, again, the tracks tend to get faster and faster. At some point, they cross over and start to go the other way. With the heat that we had, it's getting quite a bit cooler, and it's supposed to be cooler yet tomorrow. So today, this is the first track where it's conceivable, I think, that the pole might actually hold up from today to tomorrow.
Watching Paul Tracy's hands as he gets onto the long, very high-speed backstretch here at Portland. Not exactly straight, but very quick.
Now let's see how much he uses the curbs here. Different guys at the end of the straightaway, this fast left-hander. Some guys put the whole car, and actually that's surprising. Paul being one of the more aggressive guys, most of the guys center it so their outside tires are just off the curb. But one thing I'm told is the Lola is a little more sensitive to the curbs than perhaps the Reynards were. Cristiano Namada said that. With the Reynards, he said you would just slam over that. Now the Lola might be a little bit more sensitive. Oh, and that's almost a carbon copy replay of the 2 incidents he had this morning.
But not before he goes to the top of the time charts at 1 minute, 0.114 seconds, a speed of 117.916 miles an hour. Paul Tracy is now the provisional pole sitter. Let's get down to the pit lane and Calvin Fish.
Well, Christian Fittipaldi watches the monitor, saw Paul have that quick spin down there. Christian, fastest this morning, and it seems when you guys roll the cars off the transport at a road course, you have a lot of confidence and are immediately quick.
I hope you're right. Let's see if we can go a little bit quicker, or maybe we need to go a lot quicker this afternoon. We'll see, but I'm pretty confident. And the cars here were really competitive straight out of the box. That's definitely a good feeling. It would be very nice to have the pole today, extra point, pole tomorrow, also extra point. But what really counts is on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to finishing on the top on Sunday. But that doesn't say that I wouldn't like to be on pole both these days.
We discussed the chess game that you play in these qualifying sessions. We see it week in, week out, and you talk about trying to get that last half a tenth with more rubber down in the qualifying session, but traffic then becomes an issue, Christian, for you boys at the end of the session as well.
Yeah, sometimes traffic is an issue, sometimes like the red flag, but as you said before, sometimes half a tenth makes a difference between you being up there and you not being up there, and I guess that I have to play right now.
Okay, mate, well, we'll look forward to seeing him getting out there. I'm sure the action's about to get hot and heavy, Bob.
No question about it, Calvin. There's Patrick Carpentier with the Players Foresight team. He has just slotted himself into third behind Paul Tracy and Adrian Fernandez. Christian Fittipaldi's session leading time this morning, 58.781 seconds, 118.573 miles an hour. Now, a moment ago, we saw Paul Tracy looping around down there in the festival curve. Scott Pruitt has been watching Paul all day. Scott?
I got down and had a chance to talk to Paul right before he strapped in. He said, this is Portland. You know how tough it is down there. You're going from the asphalt to the concrete. You got pretty good grip as you go across the asphalt, but as soon as you get to the concrete, the car wants to slide out from underneath you. Obviously, it looks like some of those problems are continuing. Bob?
Okay, Scott, Patrick Carpentier just gathered up 2 of the cones that separate the racetrack from the backdoor entrance, if you will, to the secondary paddock where the other series racing this weekend are paddock, those being the Toyota Atlantic Series, the Barber Dodge Pro Series, and so on. Let's see what happened to him, Tommy.
When he gets through turn 7, doesn't get up on the curb. He's in trouble early, using up extra road, And that all was set up in the left-hander. He carried too much speed through there, was trying to gather it up, couldn't get the car to transition back. He's probably fortunate hitting into those tires, because at that point you're going about 140 some miles an hour when you turn in for that left-hander. So you into the pit lane, onto the drag strip. Had that one photographer dragging his flash, trying to pull those cones out from underneath there. But you see the 32X, that's Carpentier. Continuing their form, Carpentier has decided to qualify his backup car, but for the first time, it's not because they wrecked the primary. So those guys have had good luck with that, and this time it's not because they wrecked.
It has been an adventure for them. Christian Fittipaldi is about to buckle in. We'll be right back. Welcome back live to Portland International Raceway. Dario Franchitti brings his car into the pits, having taken over provisional pole position, dipping well into the 59-second zone. 59.710 seconds laps. That's the fastest lap we've seen thus far today. Jimmy Vasser has now moved up into second, Paul Tracy third, Adrian Fernandez fourth, and Patrick Carpentier in fifth, as timing and scoring continues to shuffle. Here's a look at this great racetrack, Tommy.
Now, here's the festival corners where we talked about, which is anything but a party for these guys. In that braking zone, you have both the pavement change, but you also have a very bumpy braking area. And then the other notable part is lots of long radius corners. So the car really has to be balanced. It has to be good throughout its whole range of motion. And then the real fast section where Tagliani had his trouble, really important to carry a lot of speed through there. Not a lot of hard braking other than the one into turn one, the festival corner. So a flow and a rhythm is very important here.
Now let's go back to Patrick Carpentier's problem down there in turns 7, 8, and 9.
And as I said, when he got through the left-hander, carried up too much speed, that put him on the inside for the long right-hander, and he was still trying to gather it up, couldn't bleed enough speed off, and was able, fortunately, to use up that extra room out there in the old pit lane.
A fairly graceful exit. Scott Pruitt has more.
Bruce Assmore, we just got done talking to him. He's the engineer for Patrick. One of the things was they had a problem with their primary car this morning. They were locking the rear brakes. He had to get off, park that car. He got into his backup car. They're still having some issues with the handling. The biggest problem is way too much push. He said he got in there and just couldn't get the car turned. The car just wanted to wash out. They came in, they made a number of changes, the front springs, the front shocks, and he's getting ready to go back out here in just a couple minutes. Bob?
All right, thanks very much, Scott. 4 cars make that 5 cars currently on track. Kanaan, Dixon, Tagliani, Bell, and Takagi. There's a look at Scott Dixon, the Target Ganassi Racing Team. There's his teammate Kenny Breck in the pits. We'll be right back. Today's live Speed Channel coverage is brought to you by Toyota. Get the feeling. And by Bridgestone Tires, advanced technology that gives you a grip on the future. The action continues in this first of 2 qualifying sessions for the G.I. Joe's 200. I'm Bob Barsha with Tommy Kendall, Scott Pruitt, Calvin Fish, and Derek Daly are on the pit lane. Well, actually, Derek Daly is across the pit lane. Derek?
Bob, these engine manufacturers just like to keep a close eye on what everybody is doing. So Honda Performance Development have JT here on the front straight with their own radar detector, and he has a sheet here that's literally labeled radar sheets, and he notes the straight line speed of every single car that goes down here every lap they do. And if I look over his shoulder, the fastest man down here at 179 miles an hour is in fact Patrick Carpentier. So nothing passes by these boys. Calvin?
All of these engine manufacturers, Derek, are flat out throughout the kart season. In fact, yesterday, Lee White told me from Toyota, they had their engines on the dyno. The race is 110 laps. They ran 140 laps at higher RPMs than the drivers will run in the race this weekend. Really maxing it out with every gear shift. They have a great simulator dyno down there, but they said you can never match what brute force these drivers put these machines through on race day. And in fact, this morning we had Scott Dixon blow up one of those Toyotas comprehensively. So even with 140 laps at higher RPMs, they can't match what these drivers put them through, Bob.
All right, thanks, Calvin. You see Michael Andretti out in front of Scott Dixon. Andretti currently shown in the number 12 spot. And up at the top, Cristiano D'Amata has now taken over the provisional pole position over Dario Franchitti, Jimmy Vasser, Paul Tracy, Toru Takagi, and Townsend Bell, the rookie from California, now in the 6th spot.
You see how hard Cristiano's pushing. I think he's going to go for one more hard lap. Hopefully he doesn't get held up by the target car in front of him. But a little bit of right front wheel lock up. The road drops away as you enter into turn 6, so the tires get unweighted. And this is, you know how drivers talk with their hands. When I talked to Cristiano this morning, he was using his fingers like he held the wheel very gently. What that tells me is that the track just doesn't give a lot of feedback. There's not a lot of grip, so you don't feel like you can go in there, grab a handful of wheel, and really be aggressive with the car. And so, and you look at the other guys, the guy's not using the curb as much. Paul Tracy, I pointed out earlier, and that is kind of indicative. This track never feels like it invites you to really be aggressive. You really have to balance the aggression with the fine line of the balance, and for that reason it's really easy to make a mistake. I've never had a lot of success here using aggression.
4 drivers now in the 59-second zone. D'Amata, Franchitti, Vassar, and Tracy. Now Kenny Brack bursts in, logging into the number 5 position at 59.984 seconds, 118.172 miles per hour. Given the slow corners and the rhythm sections, the S's, where D'Amata is right now, that is really booking elsewhere on this racetrack to average 118.
You saw Cristiano altered his line a little bit in that turn 6 where he had the lockup. He released the brake a little earlier, turned in a little bit tighter to protect himself. You get a better line, better angle on the corner if you set up wider. But that corner, because the way the road falls away, you really run a much tighter line through that turn 6 onto the back straight.
Racing has been taking place here at Portland since 1960. We understand this racing surface is scheduled to be repaved, and as you drive around it in a golf cart or on your bicycle, you notice there are cracks in the pavement, and there are several concrete patches, some of which have gaps at the edges that could wreak havoc with the tires. These Bridgestone Potenza tires, in order to dissipate heat, are only about the thickness of 3 pennies stacked on top of one another. So if you wonder why drivers suffer cut tires on rough racetracks, that is why. The battle against the tire's worst enemy is heat.
And Kenny's car looks pretty twitchy. You saw in that last lap he lost almost a full 2/10 between turn 7 and the start-finish line to Cristiano, and the car looks like it's not real progressive, like it's twitchy and it's stepping out suddenly, not very progressively. That's tough to get a lot of confidence. If it's a progressive slide, you can stay with it. Now with the traction control, but watch him through here. The car rides really flat. A little bit better that time. The back stayed under him, but not as quick.
You see the order across the top of your screen. Brack comes to the line, about a half second off. The drivers with the most laps logged thus far are Paul Tracy, Michael Andretti, and Scott Dixon, each with 8 of their 15 laps in. There's a look at Kenny Brack's career. I can recall back in '93 calling some of those, what was then the Barber Saab Pro Series races. Juan Montoya came through that series as well on his way up the ladder of motorsports. F3000 runner-up, IRL champion, 8500 winner, kart rookie of the year, second in the FedEx championship. That's not bad for a few years worth of work. As Brack continues on his way down the long backstretch, we'll take a break. Cristiano D'Amata having some adjustments made. We now have 6 drivers in the 59-second zone. Welcome back to round 1 qualifying for the G.I. Joe's 200, round 6 on the Kart FedEx Championship Series. Things have gone quiet for the moment. Just a couple of cars on track as everybody pulls into the pits to think things over and head back out. Of course, this is Father's Day weekend. Earlier this weekend, we spoke with Tony Kanaan, for whom this is a very poignant holiday because he lost his father quite a long time ago.
I lost my dad. I was really young. I was 13, so I had to work to support my family. And the work that I did was teaching little kids to drive a go-kart. So all I did in my life was driving cars, race cars and go-karts. So it's wonderful. I mean, I just love what I do. When you love, it's not work. You know, come here to a racetrack, wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I have a smile on my face, and I'm not driving to work like a normal person does, like, Jesus, I have to go to the office. My office is my race car. My life is racing. My workout I do because of racing. I eat properly because of racing. So everything, it turns into racing. But it's a pleasure to do it, so it's not a pain, not at all.
Tony Kanaan and Mo Nunn Racing coming off their first finish of the season last weekend at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. His best finish here at Portland International Raceway, 4th back in 1998. Now let's get down to the pit lane and Scott Pruitt with more on the Fords.
Team manager for Team Rahal, Mark Johnson. Mark, I know you came out of the box this year. You guys have been very fast with Jimmy Vasser. This weekend, a little frustrating weekends, last couple weekends. This weekend, so far, so good.
Yeah, Scott, I'll tell you, Milwaukee was a little frustrating, and Laguna was a little less than we'd expected, but we've regrouped a little bit this weekend. We had some pretty dominant cars here last year. I think we've looked at our where we ended up last year, and we've started there, and things are starting to come around. Jimmy's got a good time going right now. Looks like we're P4 after the first cycle of qualifying here, so we're hoping we can hold up.
We hear a lot about the fight between Honda and Toyota. A little bit of, Ford's still right in the hunt every weekend. You guys are one of the primary teams for Ford.
Well, the one thing that you've learned about Cosworth is you can never count Cosworth out. Those guys are a bunch of racers, and I'll tell you, they work as harder than anybody, and they do a heck of a good job for us.
Well, thanks a lot. And that's exactly true. Spending a number of years with Cosworth, these guys are hard to beat week in, week out. Bob?
All right, thanks very much, Scott. Here's a look at the Manufacturers' Championship standings in the CART FedEx Championship Series through 5 rounds. Toyota leading Honda and Ford Cosworth. As you can see, a fairly even distribution for each of the manufacturers on the road courses and the ovals. Rocketing down the long drag strip that makes up the front straightaway here at Portland. This is Scott Dixon. Remains in 14th spot. He did improve on time, 1 minute, 0.380 seconds. He now has 10 laps complete. So the New Zealander is running out of opportunities to improve. The order is now D'Amata, Franchitti, Brack, Vasser, Tracy, Fittipaldi, Takagi, Junqueira, Bell, and Tagliani. Here's Derek Daly.
Bob, you mentioned Dario Franchitti. He actually was asleep, or his eyes closed as he sat here because it's so warm and cozy in that car. But a little bit of off-track news. The Sunday Times newspaper in London listed their rich, wealthy sportsmen from England. And Dario Franchitti, believe it or not, made the list this year with an estimated fortune of $15 million. No wonder he could buy that new helicopter. Huh?
Yeah, but who is topping that list, Derek, and at what number?
Exactly.
I'm guessing it was Bernie Ecclestone, the major domo of Formula One. And after the digit, the word is not millions, but billions.
Where was Speed Channel's Derek Daly?
Somewhere south of Bernie Ecclestone and Dario Franchitti.
Speaking of which, I noticed on the side pod of Christian's car, it says Newsweek. Last week it said Fortune. I thought that was kind of a Freudian slip on Carl Haas's part. It turns out, I guess it was the magazine Fortune.
Publishing house helping to sponsor the Eli Lilly Lola Toyota.
I gotta get something off my chest. I'm gonna hear about this one. But that is the ugliest car I have ever seen. Everyone says it, thinks that no one says it. So there it is. All right.
All right. The opinions of TK do not necessarily reflect those of Speed Channel and our various corporate family. Anyway, there is Christian Fittipaldi, fast man in this morning's first practice. Right now, he finds himself back in 7th spot, suffering from a certain looseness in the rear end. Down to Calvin Fish.
Yeah, the car had gone loose on Christian, so they decided to stay on the same set of tires, make an adjustment. He seems pretty happy because he's back in now. Obviously, he needs to get those second set of tires on before his qualifying laps run out, remember, 15. So they're hoping they got the balance back in. Meanwhile, his teammate is waiting to go back out. He's watching the timing monitors as we speak, trying to see if anyone's going to throw a quick one at him. He's very happy with the balance of the car. They made a slight shock adjustment in the rear of the car, looking for a little bit more grip. They're working hard with the traction control system as well. He's got a fresh set of tires on. He's waiting to see anyone throws a quick one at him, and then he'll be back out there, Bob.
All right, thanks very much, Calvin. Send your comments to planettk.com. There's a look at Paul Tracy, and there's a look at Scott Dixon, who has just moved to P2 on the time charts. I mentioned he was running out of laps to do something, and he has done it. 59.479 seconds with 12 laps. This is his 13th in the books. He'll have one more, then he'll have to bring it in. As you see, coming up on 13 minutes to go in the session. No improvement. He stays P2 to current provisional pole sitter Cristiano D'Amato. We'll take a quick break and return as the team goes to work on Christian Fittipaldi's car. We'll be right back. Speed Channel is your home for the World Rally Championship. Arguably the greatest drivers in the world. Check out the Acropolis Rally. Same-day coverage tonight through Monday night on Speed Channel, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. On board with Dario Franchitti, currently shown 5th, but he has done only 6 of his 15 laps as we come up on 10.5 minutes to go in the session. So Scott will have to get it done. Meanwhile, Scott Dixon has run his 15 laps. He is currently P2. Shinji Nakano is also done. He shot the chicane at the Festival Curves on his last couple of laps, and he is currently 16th. Now, Jimmy Vasser is going to be penalized for a pit lane speed violation in excess of the mandatory 50-mile-an-hour speed limit. Boy, he really shattered it. He went through at 58 miles an hour, we're told.
Son, you were doing 58 and 55.
That'll cost you. Let's get down to the pit lane.
I'm in Team Cool Green pit right between Paul Tracy and Dario Franchitti. Paul radioed in and said this car is very good. The tires are only good for a couple really fast laps. Let's take all the fuel out of the car except for what it's going to take me to get out. Just those 2 laps I need. He ran a very, very fast lap, puts him in 3rd position. But what you didn't see, he actually got off the track, exiting the last turn onto the front straight, cost him about 2 or 3 tenths. He's going to try and gather it up, put another couple quick laps together. As far as his teammate, he just headed out on new sticker tires. They're also looking to do the same thing. We only need 2 good laps out of this thing. If we don't get it done then, we aren't going to get it done at all. Bob?
Meanwhile, Paul Tracy, his teammate, has just about shot his 15 laps. He is currently P4. If you're just joining us, this is the first of 2 rounds of qualifying for round 6 of the Kart FedEx Championship Series, the G.I. Joe's 200. I'm Bob Varsha with Tommy Kendall, Scott Pruitt, Calvin Fish, and Derek Daly. Cristiano D'Amato is our current provisional pole sitter. You are riding with Dario Franchitti.
And this will be a hot lap. Well, as I said that, it sounded like, yeah, it doesn't look like he has a lot of tire temp just yet. Wow. That's the part where I was talking about where the road drops away. You really need to be to the inside. If you're on the outside, either lock the right front or you get loose entering like he did there. Upcoming is the hard, quick braking, hard left, up over part of the curb. See, he's using quite a bit more curb than Paul. Long exit.
The ratcheting of the traction control. While you're watching this, Townsend Bell has just jumped up to 2nd. Don't try this at home, kids. I am a trained professional. He has won 3 poles, has Townsend Bell at this racetrack. He has yet to win a race. There is the Vistion car from Patrick Racing. Bell had a solid 7th place finish last week at Laguna Seca. His team owner, Pat Patrick, was not at the race. I was told by Townsend earlier this weekend, Patrick asked if he should not come to the race this weekend. See if this is a flyer from Franchitti.
You can tell by the way he's leaving his hand on the shifter. It tells me that he's probably not hustling it.
Scott Pruitt has more on Dario.
Well, actually, he was talking about Townsend Bell and his team owner. Not that I've spent any time with Mr. Patrick, but he is he's a little bit rough around the edges at times. In fact, he's not one of those guys to hold back on telling you exactly what he thinks. And it was quite funny talking to Townsend after the race last weekend. He said, you know, Pat's gone fishing and you should stay gone fishing for the rest of the year. Bob?
I had breakfast once with Pat Patrick in Australia at the Surfers Paradise race. Somebody came by and said, "What's up?" Ooh, problems there for Dario after going to P2 on the provisional charts. Mr. Patrick looked up and said, "I'm just telling this young man what he thinks." So Bell is bumped by Franchitti. Of course, no sooner do we think that Franchitti's not hustling it. He goes to P2.
One guy who's definitely hustling it is Townsend trying to answer back. Now, this is tough to do because the tires are at their best on that first go, but it looks like he gathered it up, pulled it back off, and then went back for another go. 59.8 that time. That's not going to do it. About 3.5 tenths shy of his best effort 2 laps before.
3 drivers broke into the 59-second zone this morning. Fittipaldi, D'Amata, and Junqueira. We now have 13 drivers under 1 minute in lap times. The drivers who have run their allotment of 15 laps: Dixon, Junqueira, Tracy. Fernandez is about to finish. He is currently 9th. Kanaan is done. Andretti is done, and he is 15th. Shinji Nakano and Mario Dominguez are also both finished 16th and 17th. Back down to the pits.
Well, Scott Dixon is currently just dropped to 6 actually on the time charts, but fastest of the target guys right now. Scott, in these sessions, are you able to work with the other drivers? Do you translate information between the various teams, or is it really in the debriefs afterwards?
You know, we probably do most of our stuff in the debriefs. More so in this team here, basically, you know, we wait until everybody's sort of got their own information sorted out. So,
as we see, Kenny's now got the top of the charts with a 59.3. How was your car in the session, Scott?
pretty good. We waited a while because we didn't get many laps, and this morning, you know, we struggled a little to try and get a balance. You know, the car was very loose on the first set, and we couldn't really put a time together, and then we, you know, put too much understeer basically in for the second. So, you know, there's still a bit of time there, but now we're closer to, you know, knowing whether we want the car.
All right, mate, nice job this afternoon. Bob?
Thanks, Calvin. The order is now Brack, D'Amata, Franchitti, Bell, who is just about to run out of laps, Tora Takagi, he too is just about done. Brack continues to improve, 59.168 seconds, 119.801 miles per hour. You should see a lap over 120 before qualifying is done tomorrow. We may see it today. D'Amata comes across 59.258. That's his best lap thus far, but not good enough to bump Kenny Brack from the top. And as you see, he still has 5 laps in hand, as does Brack. Scott Pruitt is with Mario Dominguez.
Mario, we're just sitting here talking. You came here to Portland, always kind of just haven't really come to grips with this place. Tell me about it.
Yeah, well, to tell you the truth, this is a track that the only track in my whole life racing career that I have struggled with. I just don't get to that rhythm that you need around here, and we're really fighting hard to try to get better and get faster.
Well, best of luck. Hope you can come to terms with it. Bob?
Could you need that?
All right, thank you, Scott. You watched Kenny Brack headed for the pit lane with 11 laps completed, and Cristiano is walking that fine line. Oh, and he goes to the top of the charts, 59.083, 119.974 miles an hour. How does he do it?
Well, let's see if I can grab.
Amazing.
He does it by taking chances like that one. That was a pretty long slide for a modern-day ground effects champ car at that speed.
On the back wing of D'Amata's Toyota Lola, you see the words "Road to Perdition." That's the title of a new movie starring his car co-owner Paul Newman. Also stars Tom Hanks and Jude Law. Scheduled to open in July at theaters nationwide. A gangster film, nothing like a bunch of gangsters.
The sounds of the interview, it sounds like from what Chris Pook said, that could be the name for the pre-Pook kart business plan.
And that's gangster, not gangsta, set in the 1930s in Chicago. Derek Daly.
Bob, thank you. With Townsend Bell here. Townsend, you have to be pretty pleased with the qualifying so far.
Yeah, it looks like we're 5th right now. I mean, it's a pretty decent run, I think, all things considered, and I'm just happy to be back on the sharp half of the grid here. But the Visteon Toyota car was handling pretty well. We made a couple of changes that I felt like were in the right direction. So, you know, if we learn something today and we can apply it for tomorrow afternoon, maybe we'll be a tick better.
I mean, you've had your fair share of troubles, but Laguna really was a very, very good race for you.
Yeah, you know, just making it to the end of one of these things, it got a little frustrating the first 4 races, but I'm starting to get it figured out, and I think we're starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm with the team. I just love racing every weekend. I wish we could do it 52 times a year.
Good, Townsend, well done. Calvin?
Well, Kenny Brack had the provisional pole there, Derek, and then Cristiano went a little quicker. Why only 11 laps, Kenny? You had 4 more laps left. Had nothing left in the car this afternoon?
Yeah, and you know, when the tires When you have done a few laps, the tires lose the grip, so you can run around, but there's no point. I mean, you get 2 laps on the tires, and that's it.
You have to be pleased, Kenny. The season started off badly for you, but you seem to be gaining momentum now. You're very fast at Milwaukee, led a number of laps. A podium finish last week, and competitive here once again.
Yeah, so far so good. We'll go back and look at everything and try to get the Mata a run for his money, but it's tough, but we're gaining on them, so it's good.
All right, Kenny, thanks. Let's get down to Scott with Paul Tracy.
Paul, we were watching. You had a very fast lap going, but unfortunately got just a little off coming onto the front straight.
Yeah, I tried a little bit too hard in the last corner and lost some time, but you know, I didn't get the best of the tires, but you know, it was an okay run for today. We know what we need to do to improve the car tomorrow, so we'll just work on it tomorrow morning and see how we run tomorrow.
But best of luck. Things getting better with the Lola. Bob?
Meanwhile, here's a guy with a big problem. Michel Jourdain Jr., who was the points leader going into last weekend at Laguna Seca. He is now second to that man, Cristiano da Matta. Jourdain has run both his primary and his backup cars today. The primary is currently 19th, having not completed a timed lap in 7 attempts. His backup car, the one you saw him in a moment ago, is 14th, although he is under 1 minute in lap time. Christian Fittipaldi is now out of laps. He is currently in the number 3 spot at 119.706 miles an hour, 59.215 seconds. See the order across the top of your screen. In case you're just joining us, Max Pappas has not turned a lap on this, the first of the 3-day G.I. Joe's 200 weekend. Financial problems for the Sigma Autosport team. They hope to get on track tomorrow. That remains to be seen. Jourdain heads for the pits. And the checkered flag is now out. Cristiano da Matta is the provisional pole sitter. He picks up the championship point and guaranteed front row spot that come with being the fast man on Friday on the road and street courses. The order is da Matta, Brack, Fittipaldi, Franchitti, Bell, Takagi, then Scott Dixon in 7th, Bruno Junqueira, Paul Tracy, and Alex Tagliani. Cristiano da Matta talking it over with the team, including owner Carl Haas to the right of your screen. We'll take a break and return with more live from Portland International Raceway.
We're here to see.
Today's live Speed Channel coverage is brought to you by Prudential Financial, growing and protecting your wealth. By Eagle One. Need a new way to wax? Try Eagle One. Wash as you dry. Wash car, spray on, dry off, you're done. And by Toyota. Get the feeling. Welcome back to a beautiful day at Portland International Raceway. The first of 2 rounds of qualifying for the G.I. Joe's 200 are now in the books. Cristiano da Matta in provisional pole position following the first pole of his Kart FedEx Championship Series career a week ago in Laguna Seca. He adds 1 point to his total, giving him 52 and a 6-point margin over Michel Jourdain Jr., who frankly had a terrible session. Here's a look at the top 10. da Matta, Brack, Fittipaldi, Dario Franchitti, the best placed Honda in the field. Then Townsend Bell, Tora Takagi, Scott Dixon, Bruno Junqueira, Paul Tracy, and Alex Tagliani in 10th, the top Ford-powered car in today's provisional round of qualifying. Let's get down to Calvin Fish now, standing by with Cristiano da Matta.
Cristiano pulls on the overalls. He's nice and hot and sweaty. Tough afternoon out there. He just pulled off, though. Very close with you and Kenny.
Yeah, it was quite close, but I'm very happy with my car because I feel a lot of potential with the changes we've made from this morning to this afternoon. This morning, I was able to get everything out of the car, and I felt like I didn't have anything else more left. This afternoon, I felt like the car was good, but we have more room to improve it. So it's not only good to be on pole to get the point and to guarantee, of course, the space on the front row, but more than anything is to see that we still have more room for improvement. That's very rewarding.
Kenny stopped his run after 11 laps and his tyres had nothing left in them for another run there. There was some confusion when you came in, talking to Rocky there about if you had another lap left in your run. Could you have gone faster this afternoon?
Well, it's, you know, I think all the drivers that are out there right now, if you ask this question, the answer is going to be yes. But the only miscommunication was actually my fault, because when my dash was showing 1 lap left, I thought it was 1 lap left and not one timed lap left. So I came in one lap earlier. Maybe could have gone a little quicker, but who knows? It's impossible to say right now.
Hey, Calvin, while you have him, Calvin,
yes.
Ask him about aggression. Does aggression tend to pay off on this course? When he's driving this course, does he hustle into the corner, or does that tend to bite him?
Tommy Kendler's asking the question if aggression really pays off on this Portland racetrack, or whether finesse really works, particularly through the S's here and through the chicane.
Well, it's finesse on this side of the track, and from this side over there is aggression. It's a good combination.
Which part do you like best?
Well, I like the high-speed chicane a lot. It's fun.
All right, mate. We like to watch you through there. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
A little bit of everything. P1 provisionally for Cristiano D'Amata. As I mentioned this morning, 3 drivers broke 1 minute. This afternoon, 14 drivers did it. There's Dario Franchitti and wife Ashley Judd. We'll be back to talk to Dario in just a moment. Welcome back live to Portland International Raceway, round 6 of the Kart FedEx Championship Series, the G.I. Joe's 200. We are halfway through qualifying. Day 1 is done. Day 2 comes tomorrow. Here's a look at the championship points with the provisional poll today. Cristiano D'Amata fattens his lead to 6 over Michel Jourdain Jr. Christian Fittipaldi still looking for a win, but just 9 points out of the championship lead. Then comes race winner Bruno Junqueira, who won on the oval in Motegi, Japan. Dario Franchitti is in 5th. He is standing by with Scott Pruitt.
Dario, we've been talking about some of the struggles making that change from Reynard to Lola. A little bit of a struggle last weekend, but so far so good here in Portland.
Yeah, absolutely. The car was good this morning. You know, we're running something pretty close to our Mid-Ohio setup here. It seems to be working not too badly. We've obviously got to do a bit of work tonight to catch the guys in front, but yeah, it's certainly looking a lot better, a lot happier.
Now, we've been talking about what it takes to get the best out of those tires. What's it take to get the best out of those tires?
You just got to get the car working. You know, when the tires are at their qualifying best, you've just got to get that lap done, get the car working. We're still not quite there when we're a small imbalance in the car, but the tires are giving us 2 or 3 really good laps, and then the qualifying edge is really gone from them. But then you can do a consistent time all day long. But it's just important to get that clear lap when you have the chance.
Best of luck for tomorrow. Derek?
Thank you, fellows. With Patrick Carpentier. Little bit of a struggle. P13, not that impressive.
No, that's not what we're looking for today compared to last week, 3rd on Friday. But we need to work on the chassis, so we're going to do some work on that and hopefully improve it for tomorrow, because P13 is not good. But in a series like that, you look at Michael Andretti's at the back, and a lot of guys, you go from the front to back very quickly if the car is not good.
Interestingly enough, though, Patrick, when I was down at the radar going for Honda, you were the fastest car down the front straight at 179, but yet obviously straight line speed isn't everything.
Yeah, no, it's not. So maybe it's a sign we need to put some more wing in and get the thing to stick on the ground and get less fast on the straightaway, so we'll see.
Good to see a smile on your face. Good luck tomorrow. Thank you. Calvin?
Well, Christian Fittipaldi ended up 3rd, but Christian, when you went out for that qualifying session, I know you were less than impressed with the balance of the race car. What happened?
That was really loose in the beginning of the session, especially on the medium speed turns. Coming out of them, power down. It was wheel spinning quite a lot, and it was very, very loose.
You made some changes since this morning, so you were fastest in the morning practice?
No, actually we did. We like minimal changes that wouldn't have caused that. The track must have changed big, and it really didn't go our way. And then in the second set, we needed to compromise a little bit to make sure that I would be up there in the top 3 or 4.
How much is it a sweat? I saw you sitting there. There were 5 minutes left. If it went red at that point, you're like 11th or 12th. So you and your engineer Craig are sitting there. It's a real gamble there to just sit there and wait.
Maybe 13th or 14th if it had gone red. But if it had gone red, what can you say? Turn the page and see what you can do tomorrow. Like we would have sucked today.
All right, mate. You certainly didn't suck 3rd on the grid. Well done.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Calvin. 6 different drivers sat on provisional pole today. Nakano, Fernandez, Tracy, Franchitti, Brack, and ultimately Cristiano D'Amata. Here's a look at career poles at Portland. Emerson Fittipaldi and Danny Sullivan tied with 3. 12 have 1 apiece. See what happens tomorrow. In a moment, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Portland International Raceway, where round 1 of qualifying for the G.I. Joe's 200 is now in the books. Of course, this is Father's Day weekend, and that's very much the theme of everything we'll be doing this weekend here at Portland. Now let's hear from one of the second-generation racers in the field. Michel Jourdain Jr. about racing and his dad.
My dad obviously was the first one in the family that started the racing thing. Grandfather never had anything to do with racing, or my grandmother, nobody. And my dad, since he was like 8 years old, and his brothers, they used to go out to the street, get a lift and go to the races 200, 300 miles away. And my dad was the first one that started racing when he was 20 years old. And my first race I went to, it's when I was a month old. They were always just crazy about racing.
Thank you, father, son. Of course, Dad had a great day in Mexico at the opening of the season. But Michel, if I can just talk to you, points leader at Laguna last week. Little bit of mechanical problems today.
Yeah, we're having a little problem with the gearbox on the downshifts. We thought we had fixed it this morning. When I went out on the car, it was okay. When I came into the pits, we started having a problem, and then I went out to do a second run, and I was having problems, so we had to change cars, and the gearbox was okay.
Jimmy is obviously only just a couple of spots ahead of you, so I mean, he has his trouble. So is the handling in general of the Rahal cars just not quite there?
I think it's not perfect. You know, we're making some changes. I think we have a good plan for tomorrow. You know, good things to try. But until you try them, you don't know.
Did you get him a Father's Day present?
No, not yet. When is the Father's Day?
It's on Sunday, don't you forget, right? Scott, take it away.
Yeah, that's good. Down here with Kim Green, we've been talking about the challenges of what it's taken, especially for you guys. 3 cars making a changeover from Reynard to Lola, but things look like they're turning around this weekend.
Well, I think certainly 2 of the 3 drivers are reasonably satisfied. Dario's currently, I think, 4th, and Paul back a little bit. That Michael's still struggling, not happy with the race car setup. So we've got to find some speed with his car, and obviously we're going to rub some of the speed off Dario's and Paul's cars and put it on Michael's for tomorrow.
Okay, well, best of luck. Back to you, Bob. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Scott. I've just been handed a note. The Sigma Autosport team and driver Max Papis hope to get things together to go out and attempt to qualify for the G.I. Joe's 200 tomorrow. More when we return.
Formula One lives on speed. The cars, works of art and marvels of engineering. The drivers, superstars, and rocket men. From Australia to Brazil, Canada to Malaysia.
Checkered flag is out.
Speed Channel takes you around the world with live coverage of Formula One. The beauty of man and machine. The thrill of open-wheel battle. Formula One, the Canadian Grand Prix. Sunday at 8 only on Speed.
Today's live Speed Channel coverage has been brought to you by FedEx, proud sponsor of the CART FedEx Championship Series. And by Mazda. There's a soul of a sports car in everything we make. Back at Portland International Raceway, where the engineers and drivers will go into their debriefs to try to get the ultimate setup for tomorrow's second and final round of qualifying for the G.I. Joe's 200. Here's how they currently stand. Cristiano Damata picks up a guaranteed front row spot for Sunday's race and a championship point, leading a parade of drivers under 1 minute in lap time around this 1.9-mile high-speed natural terrain road courses. Final thoughts, Tommy Kendall?
Yeah, just I thought the track would start to fall off with the heat, but it looks like we're going to have another frantic run for the pole tomorrow. Damata does not have the cushion in hand that we might have thought he would have, and so both Brack Fittipaldi, Franchitti, all right there.
It should be exciting. Tonight, Kart Friday night, Derek Daly hosting. We'll have Max Papis as a guest to tell you more about the Sigma Autosport situation. Calvin Fish will be at a special fan appreciation autograph session, and TK will be downtown at the Ultimate Block Party. Tomorrow it's qualifying at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time here on Speed. The Toyota Atlantic Championship airs at 10 p.m. Saturday, and then the race itself at 3:30 p.m. on CBS Sunday. I'm Bob Varsha for Tommy, Scott, Calvin, and Derek. We'll see you tomorrow from Portland International Raceway. So long for now, everyone.